It's fun.
What's up, Buckeye Nation? You're tuned in to the Buckeye Cast, coming at you loud and proud, bringing strong opinions and salty humor to Ohio State football. These fellas were born and bred in the Buckeye State, and their brand of banter is guaranteed to entertain and excite you. But if you're not a Buckeye, don't bother. Visit us at thebuckeyecast.com and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at The Buckeye Cast to stay up to date on all things Ohio State football. And be sure to subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Now here's your host, Joe Warwick.
What's up, sluts? Thank you for joining us, Buckeye fans. Good to see you tonight. We are talking beat UNLV, the running Rebels. Tark Sharks.
Yep, chewing that fucking towel.
Right to the fucking grave. So anyway, let's get into this game. As you know, you can reach us at thebuckeyecast.com. You can find us on any social media platform ever made at the Buckeye Cast. And you know you can always email me at joe@thebuckeyecast.com.
You got MySpace?
No. I think they might have folded a while back.
Oh.
They might be down for the count. But you can find me on Zuckerberg's page. You can find me on Twitter.
They're not going to censor us, are they?
Are they what?
They're not going to censor us, are they?
Yeah, we're way beyond that. I'm beyond the point of caring at this point. Jeff is incognito. I think he's on mute or something, so maybe he'll just pop up throughout the show. Anyway, making zero sense right now. So let's quickly recap the Army game. We got Shawn in here coming from the D. He's going to give you his 2 cents, and I definitely want to get his opinion on that shithole team up north, because I'm sure he's got a little inside info on how things look and how their fans feel. We do have some Twitter questions tonight, so we're just going to run through this. Recap Army. We're going to talk about beating the ass off of those running Rebels. And how are they Rebels, by the way, from Las Vegas? Like, aren't all the Rebels down south? Doesn't even make sense.
Well, they ran away from the south to Las Vegas.
To the desert? Okay.
Yeah, running Rebels.
Why wouldn't they call them, like, the Las Vegas mobsters or gangsters or something? I thought it was all, like, crime families out there.
Broke motherfucker.
Yeah. Casino busters. Anyway, so we're going to run through that. We're going to give you our players to watch and our predictions for the game. And then we have 2 Twitter questions. One is a really good question. The other one...
and the other one sucks.
...is mediocre at best. So let's talk recap Army real quick. I know you did your extra points on Sunday, and I put them out. Hope everybody caught those. If you don't listen to the extra points, at least listen to the intro and the movie quotes that I include in those. If you don't care about what me and Shawn say, then I understand that. I'm not going to argue with that. But at least listen to the intros, for Christ's sake. They're at least, a little bit of entertainment. So
agreed.
So for Army, we'll quickly run through a little recap. So we saw, to start with the offense, we saw JT and the offense working the edges with the bubble screens, getting a lot of passes out quickly behind the line of scrimmage. Got him into a rhythm, I thought, early on. Would you think you like that attack, or you think that's only good against certain foes?
Well, I think we went to the well on it. I don't think you can do it that many times. Maybe some other teams that have better guys on the outside, better corners. Those, especially those long ones. Like, I'm just so worried that ball's in the air so long. Like, someone steps in front of that. Yeah. If they do, it goes for 6. But no, I thought JT obviously his best game of the year. I would say. But you're facing a service school. He looked okay. I still feel that there's some footwork that isn't right in the pocket. And I'm no quarterback coach, and maybe he needs that extra little hops, whatever it is. But he did a fine job. But when Haskins came in, he was confident in the pocket. He had that presence in the pocket. He was hitting guys in stride. I know he only threw 4 passes, but I think he completed them all. And just, it looked good. Now, again, garbage time against a service school, and nothing against them. I love the Army, but is what it is. And I'm worried going forward. I'm glad we've got a few games coming up where we can iron some things out, but I'm just not convinced at this point that JT's had his last bad game at Ohio State. And we can't afford any more bad games. So, concerned about the play of JT Barrett.
Huh, that's interesting. So, in a TMI moment the other day, Kevin Wilson called JT an adequate passer and adequate runner. Is that a negative or? Yeah, that's what he said.
I didn't hear that.
Obviously, I can't really give you the tone of how he said it, but he was speaking in positive terms. The way I read it, or the way I heard it from his mouth, so it seemed to be 2 positive things. But he didn't.
I guess it would depend on how it was asked and the tonality that you could say that. You say, hey, is Barrett an adequate passer? Yeah, he's an adequate passer, and he's an adequate runner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you said it in that tone, then heck yeah, that's positive. If they say, how's your quarterback? Well, he's adequate at passing, he's adequate at running, then,
right.
It's all context.
It was more the former than the latter, the way he said it, but when you just look at it in black and white, what he said, maybe it's kind of a moment where he was letting on a little too much. And we can all watch the tape as much as any coach can, and maybe we're looking at slightly different things, but we know he's inaccurate. I mean, that's a given. That's been proven. Okay, you can't dispute that. And I would say he's a stronger runner than a passer. I would call him more than adequate runner,
In the past, but this year I just feel he's adequate.
Okay.
He's not wowing me this year running, and in the past he frankly has.
Yeah.
But again, I see some hesitation in that part of his game.
Right, and we talked about that last week, where we don't know if this is a directive coming from the coaches or if this is his own sense of self-protection, So I like the run-pass options that they integrated in the offense this week. I think this was a good time to start working on new things, even though it wasn't an equal opponent maybe defensively. They integrated these RPOs, and the next announcer I hear say RPO on TV, I'm going to lose my shit.
I know. What a buzzword.
I was watching that UCLA and Memphis game. It was like a noon start Saturday, and Matt Millen obviously learned a new word or a new acronym with the RPOs, and I was like, oh my God, I had to mute him. That dude is annoying anyway. And then he starts spitting this out. But anyway, so this is
I feel a little bit about the same with the mesh routes. I feel like everyone uses mesh routes now.
Yeah.
When 3 years ago it was slants and crosses.
Right.
So,
and rub routes and and pick plays. They're actually called pick plays.
Right.
Like, even though the refs don't like to hear that. But
I guess that's the PC way to say pick play.
Exactly.
Mesh route.
Yeah. It's a trigger word for the snowflakes.
I get you now. Makes sense.
Yeah. So they need a safe space to talk about pick plays. So I liked it. I thought it was a great integration. It's obviously something that Kevin Wilson brought over because we've never really seen the run pass options, and I will not use RPO, I promise. We haven't seen the offense use a run pass option, really. It's always been zone read or sprint zone or sprint option, different forms of run option, not run and pass.
Well, I'll use RPO again, but like for really pissed off when that shit doesn't work against fucking Clemson or Bama or Michigan, Penn State.
When it fails, it's an RPO.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that wrinkle. And I like the bubble screens when they work. I mean, some of them were still inaccurate. I mean, that's obvious when dudes have to jump, off both feet to catch the pass behind the line of scrimmage and then try and make something happen. I mean, I think sometimes that was the cause of those wide receiver penalties. They had to hold a guy for so long. You can only block for so long without grabbing some cloth, right? I mean,
right.
I blocked you for a long time back in high school practice, but I can't do it for 20 seconds.
Not the way I remember it, but
anyway.
Holding motherfuckers is how I see it. I know how those receivers work. They're holding. Yeah. They're holding on every play.
Hey, I didn't.
Yeah, you can only do it for so long.
At least I didn't go for your knees.
Tell them, grab, get up in there under them pads a little bit.
Grab them by the,
lock them up.
Yeah. If you grab them like inside the shoulders, the ref will never see it. Like in the breastplate area.
Yeah, exactly. You get up in there, and that's kind of not even considered holding.
Yeah. And if you punch
holding, it's totally holding. But yeah, they let that go a lot until they only call it when the guy turns to run because now the play's behind him. You already did your job. Yep. When he turns to run and he can't turn because you're still holding that.
Yeah,
that's when they throw the flag on that.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I thought the first half was solid, and then it opened up the downfield passing in the second half. If you notice, not that we completed a lot, but there were more open routes there. They got the one big one to Marcus Baugh, which was behind him actually. Again,
terrible ball. I mean, if you
he would have skated, he would have skated into the end zone. But and then there was an overthrow on a deep ball. But I like seeing the increased touches for Paris and KJ. That's kind of what I've been angling for. If you remember last week, Paris was my guy to watch. And I wanted more touches, honestly, out of the backfield and receiving. How do you feel about the H-back role?
I like Paris. I want to like KJ. I don't love KJ yet.
Wow.
I don't.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm just holding out. I like Paris, but I was just mad the one, I don't know if it was against Oklahoma or even against Army, that, I don't know, he's all red-ass and getting up, and Barrett kind of had to calm him down. And I just, keep your shit, man. Don't let, plays over.
Yeah.
And on to the next. And I see that stuff and I worry about, oh, fuck. Can you trust this kid not to make a stupid mental error late? Yeah. That's my only concern with him. His skill level is obviously off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still waiting for my boy McCall. Damn it.
Yeah, he's getting better, but maybe we'll see him this week against UNLV. I would imagine the bench gets emptied this week. So what do you think about Tuff Borland at middle linebacker? You think that maybe he should be a full-time starter and we slide Worley back to the outside?
Oh, to take over for Booker?
Yeah.
Never heard it presented that way. I would hate to speculate. I'm sure the coaches know more than me, but I will say hats off to Borland. He played tough, just like his name. He filled the hole, made a lot of tackles. But again, what did I get to see? I mean, all our other three linebackers, fall in love with the play action. So right. I don't know. Maybe he does too. Maybe he's even worse. So I don't know. I think it was a great first game. But when you're playing that kind of defense, I don't know if you can really get a good read on it.
Right.
But I like the aggressiveness, and I thought he played really well.
Yeah.
Well, what's the status on Worley? I mean, is this?
Well, he was in a walking boot the other day with a sprained foot. I don't know the timetable. We haven't been updated yet as of right now. This is Wednesday night. And then Booker's dealing with a sore shoulder. He only played like 6 snaps against Army. Did you see that Jerome Baker was in a wrist cast the other day?
I saw you tweet that. Is that real? It was taken off, or?
I haven't found any info about it. It's like,
you know what it could be though. So there's a lot of therapy stuff out there. It could be that, I'm sure he takes a lot of blows to the arms, tackling and things like that. That, you get some swelling after a game. It's hurt, whatnot, sore. So there's a lot of new therapy out there that has these cast-like looking things that, got ice or some coolant built into them or some other type of medicine. Could it be that, or was it like a full cast, like when you were a kid and fucking your friends were signing the shit?
Right. I can't say because I didn't see it myself, and I gotta assume somebody took a screenshot of the fucking thing. I mean, nobody lets anything just disappear into the ether on Twitter anymore. So I'll keep looking for that, and maybe Herb will give an update. But so anyway, we're looking at injuries across the board on the linebacker spot. So this could be a week where maybe a tough Borland gets more reps at middle linebacker, and we'll actually get to see what he can do against a pass offense or a conventional offense versus a run only, where it's just follow the running back and then kill him.
I'm hoping that he is the complete package. I mean, he showed me he can be aggressive and can stop the run. Now, do you got the football smarts?
Yeah, you can go sideline to sideline. Yeah. Yep. So that's going to create an interesting situation, I think, if Borland does show against this UNLV team that he can play at the middle and be a reliable go-to guy, then it kind of opens up things for the linebacker position, I think. And maybe I always thought Worley belonged on the outside personally. He seemed more like that D. Lee type of outside linebacker on the strong side. But
seemed more like Grant to me.
Really?
Just solid, not a big playmaker.
But he's undersized.
Well, I mean, undersized. Is he though? I mean, all of our middle linebackers, it's 6'2", 6'1", 6'4" is the depth chart right now. 230, 230, 230.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, Raekwon was like a 245, 250. Same with Grant, Curtis Grant. They were all.
Grant was on the. Well, I mean, you still got Booker's out there listed at 6'3", 240.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the biggest linebacker on, of all the spots on the 3 deep. No one's, you got some 230, you got 235, and then, I think that's just how Ohio State makes linebackers.
Yeah, I think, though, that the middle needs to be a little bit heavier, for the beating he's going to take, or he should take, if he's making plays. So.
Oh, I wouldn't mind a 245. Just that if you have a fullback, he's hating it.
Right. Yeah, you need an equalizer in there, in the middle. What did you think of Eric Smith? He made some plays.
Great. After I got on his ass, because I thought he whiffed on a few things, he made some great plays.
Yeah.
Nice to see. Real nice to see.
That breakup of the not that the quarterback was anything of great ability.
Still, it was great effort on his part.
Yeah, the guy just would whip rainbows up into the sky, and there was a good interview about that play with Eric Smith yesterday when they had the players' interviews, and he said he was just doing his job. He knew, because they were playing 3 safeties most of the night, Smith, Fuller, and Webb. And Smith knew that if they brought the slot out in that particular formation, he knew his job was to go to the post, and he barely got there.
Yeah, he did. I mean, great play, but if that's against an Oklahoma, they'd scored a touchdown.
Oh yeah,
because we got better athletes than Army, that we can make up those differences. But when you're playing an elite team, they just scored on you.
Well, the quarterback would have put a better ball out there for sure. That guy, that was like the most pass attempts he's had all year combined. So, Yeah, a good win. You can't really complain about, especially when they cover. Thank you. So, there were a couple stagnant times in the game, but I went back and looked at the time of possession, and it was like 38-23 or 22 time of possession in favor of Army. So for us to put up 38 with a huge deficit in time of possession, I think says something about moving the ball.
You know what though? How do you not love Army for getting out there and running that shit? I just,
They don't.
I
give
love
a fuck.
their style. Like the cut of their jib, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Props to Army.
right. That's why.
And all of them. Speaking of service schools, another team that we know played a service school.
Oh, I heard about that. Didn't go so well, did it?
I watched most of that game.
Yeah.
And, I had poker last night. I take some jabs here and there that said, you don't need to worry about the Buckeyes. We're going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But Michigan, you got some things to worry about yourself.
Yeah, especially offensively.
Yeah. They got the same kind of quarterback problems we do. Their quarterback's not accurate either.
Mm-hmm. And at least he's got 2 pick sixes under his belt already in week 3. And what have they scored 1 offensive touchdown in 3 games? Is that correct?
Oh, is that the stat?
Yeah, they have 4 defensive and special team touchdowns.
And
yeah,
wow,
1 on offense. So
and their best running back, I don't know if he's hurt for long, maybe not. But they had a couple injuries in that game. I think one of their better receivers and one of their better running backs. Of course, they weren't scoring a bunch of touchdowns, so how good were they? Maybe the guys behind them are better.
Yeah.
You never know until they play, but they've got some issues on offense for sure that are noticeable against not great teams. I'll give them that Florida is a good defense, but they pretty much shut you down too, except they were on the field the whole game because your offense is so miserable.
Yep. For those who aren't sure who we're talking about Michigan, okay?
Oh.
FYI. There may be the uninformed out there.
Yeah. No disrespect, Sparty fan.
Speaking of uninformed.
So,
yeah.
They got problems. I'm still not 100% sold on the defense either. It looks fast. It's young. It's aggressive. I do like that. I think Don Brown's a great D coordinator. Mm-hmm. But they haven't really played anybody either. And they've got a game coming up against Purdue this weekend. Who Purdue will lose because they're fucking Purdue. But Michigan might be in a football game this weekend.
Yeah.
Purdue's better than Air Force. From what I've seen so far.
You see that spread? That dropped down to like, 10?
Oh, I thought it was like 8.5, 8 or something.
I'll have to check on that again. Anyway, that says something. For any Purdue game to be less than double digits, that's a big deal. 4 o'clock there on the Fox. Very interesting. So we're gonna touch on them later in our Twitter questions. So save your ammo.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm done with Army then. Thanks, Army. Thanks for what you do.
Appreciate you. Thanks for the dub. So
that's one. Just to pound my chest a little bit. I was informed by our friend Timmy that I at least nailed Ohio State's score on the Army game.
You did?
I gave Army 17, so I missed there, but. Nailed what we'd score, and the thinking behind it was Herb loves the troops and the service schools as well, and there wasn't any way that Herb's going to run it up 63 points on Army. Sure. Now, let's talk about UNLV because that's a different ballgame altogether.
I agree 100% that he's not going to embarrass a service school. That's why Haskins took a knee, Freudian slip there, sorry, took a knee inside the 10. To end the game. So
right,
yeah. Let's jump into this. even with all those injuries that we talked about earlier, and I'm going to give you a quick injury update, the depth chart has not changed at all. It is virtually identical to last week's. So let me touch on these injuries that we are aware of and their status. So Joe Burrow was cleared last week. Herb didn't feel comfortable playing him yet and didn't really need to. So obviously that's why Haskins took the late game garbage snaps. So Burrow's 100%, ready to go. So huge decision here between Burrow and Haskins, if and when, definitely when they bring in the backups in garbage time against UNLV. Going to be interesting to see who goes first. Linebacker Dante Booker is still dealing with a sore shoulder. Worley in the walking boot with a sprained foot. Jerome Baker and his wrist. We don't know what's up with any of these. Johnny Dixon didn't play Saturday because of a sore hamstring. And then Weber's hammy. We don't know what's up with that. I would assume he gets some touches, some carries, but we haven't heard any official updates on these guys at all. You got a quick thought on Haskins versus Burrow and who should maybe come out first?
Well, I do. You just said that Burrow is 100%, and maybe he is, but, let my conspiracy theory mind wander here a moment. Could it be that, Burrow rushed back from this because he's like, hey, the fucking sharks are in the water for JT Barrett. Mm-hmm. If I miss my opportunity here and Haskins passes me by, so I wonder if that's a motivating factor for Burrow to get back out there. Who to start? I mean, I don't know. Is there a wrong answer? Is there a right answer? Haskins looked good, but Burrow's looked good last year when he came in garbage time. You hate to see a guy lose his spot, especially when he wasn't a starter. He lose his backup spot because he got hurt.
Yeah.
So I would probably lean towards Burrow, but I'm hoping that this is enough of a blowout that I get to see, 20 plays from each of them.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Real nice. I always thought that the reason why Burrow was the backup last year is because he gave the multi-dimension quarterback role more. He was able to run and pass, whereas Haskins is not that strong a runner. Definitely.
Yeah, Burrow looks good. He's not that fast, but he quick reads, good reads on the run.
Yep.
And he did look good with it. I don't really know if I've seen Haskins even attempt to run that much, right?
Right. I would agree.
Basically handoff. So, yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, he looks like a heck of an athlete. I don't know why he can't run. Maybe some guys got the vision, some don't. I don't know.
Right. So,
But that to me is interesting. I'm with you. I think you'll see Weber, split snaps. Again, if it's not 100%, I don't want him taking a bunch. Mm-hmm. And frankly, if it's a blowout, I don't want to see, we get Dobbins in that 13-15 range again. He can sit down too. And
yeah, hopefully McCall's good to go. You can slide him in there.
Yeah, McCall can get some touches. Give Antonio, 10, 15 touches.
Yep. He hasn't looked horrible either. I've been pretty happy, even though, it's late in games. Antonio Williams is solid. He's not
it looks like he's running hard. He doesn't have the crazy skills like Dobbins does, but yeah, he looks like a solid back to me. He runs hard.
Yeah. Straightforward. He's not a cut guy. He's not a jump off the screen kind of guy, but he runs straight forward and, he falls down for yardage. So that's all you can ask for sometimes.
Yeah, I think he's been playing really well, and I guess it's just tough to be running back at Ohio State because, the guy looks like he's playing hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so looks like UNLV has a strong running game. They're putting up 550 a game, 200 passing, 350 running. So
to Howard and to Idaho.
Yeah, well, I can only go by what's on the schedule. So, be interesting to see how how they come out and try to attack us if they go after the secondary, which has been weak. So I'm very curious to see if they think their quarterback can start slinging it around the yard. Could be a recipe for disaster for them. And definitely going to be a challenge for those linebackers. I want to see how they play against this rushing attack. If they can actually muster up 300 plus rushing against us, that's not a good look.
No way they get that on us. No freaking way. I better not be. I'll be RPO, man. RPO.
Stop it. Yeah. So, I really don't have a lot of info on UNLV and who really does. I doubt anybody in Las Vegas really has much info on them. So, let's touch on your players to watch this game. Who do you have your microscopes on?
Well, we just actually talked about it, and I just gave you my dissertation. But just to touch on it, I've got here Dwayne Haskins or Joe Burrow or both. Okay. I'd really like to see them both get some touches and make me feel good that we've got some really good guys back there that can run this offense. I know we do. I know they're both good. Maybe it'll just piss me off more if, again, we get the dreaded late year JT Barrett can't pass fucking syndrome and lose a game that we shouldn't.
Yeah.
By poor quarterback play. So, but anyway, no, I'm looking forward to watching both of them. I think, if Burrow's healthy, but the thing is, Burrow, gosh, I know it's got to be going through your mind that you can't give up this opportunity. Yeah. But if you're not ready, I don't know. Don't push it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you feel you got to, then go for it. On defense, I'm with you. Basically, I don't have a guy. I've got the whole linebacker crew. So these guys can run. Their O-line's obviously going to have their hands full with our D-line. So these guys should be able to make plays. But if they're biting hard on the play action against UNLV, I'm going to be really disturbed. So, this is a more pro-style, spread out, whatever offense, more like what you're going to see probably in a lot of college games. I want to see what the linebackers can do, to shore up that middle of the field. Gosh, everything's open in there.
Yeah. I was debating on my microscopes. I'm definitely on offense going to go to, this might be a little bit of a surprise considering the rotation at receiver, but I'm going to go with Austin Mack, mainly because I think there's an open door for who the go-to guy could be. And I know I was jumping on Benjamin Victor earlier last week and the week before, but he hasn't really stepped up in his opportunities. He makes, catches, the quick 10-yard outs and stuff. But I think Austin Mack might be the guy that JT's going to start targeting. And, it's all about who JT feels comfortable with as a receiver to be in that spot, So I'm going to watch.
Kid, that's going to fight for a ball and go up for a ball for you.
Right. And Mack got his first touchdown, and he had another catch. So I'm kind of thinking Mack might be the man, maybe going forward. We'll see how it plays out over the next few weeks, but I'm going to focus on him on the offense. Isaiah Prince was my other concern, but I just the turnstile is open. And then on defense, I have trouble finding somebody on defense to focus on, and I think I'm going to go back to the special teamers and the kickoff guy because they kind of fucked us last week. Do you see the?
Yeah.
Do you see the third kicker that went in? I don't even know that guy's name.
I didn't know we sent in a third kicker.
For kickoffs, yeah. And we very well could be back to Nuremberger kicking off.
We got the worst kickoff we've had since Meyer's been there. Probably even pre-Tressel, because Tressel was all about special teams. Right. Yeah, our kick coverage now sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, and just the kickoffs, period. The location and where they're at. Herb wants them basically to almost hit the pylon, just inside the pylon, so that if it does go out of bounds, it's going through the end zone, because he wants to cut the field down in like almost half, so that his guys can focus on half of the vertical field to work with.
Right. I think anything inside the 5, and if you cut it from the the hash over, like halfway between there, that's anything in there is fairly acceptable. But we weren't doing that, and
right with consistency,
coverage wasn't great.
Yeah, they totally blew that deep kick that was perfectly placed, and the dude escaped because somebody broke containment. But I want to see these kickers like be precise, because that's a huge part of the game that nobody really notices. And the punter's been doing great. I think he felt the heat of my microscope a couple weeks ago, and he's been playing well. I don't really have any lack of confidence in him at this point. He's been crushing it. So, yeah, Blake Heibel in my microscope, or Nuremberger, whoever kicks off.
You're turning into Jim Tressel in your old age, man.
Really? Focus on the special teams?
Special teams.
Well, I will never say that the punt is the greatest play in football. I promise you that.
Did you say greatest or most important?
Whatever it is. Doesn't sound that good. Sounds like it's way too important to you, if you say that. But no, I understand the field position battle is most important thing. Anyway, maybe next year I'll be focused on something else. The water boy. So let's get our predictions out of the way. We're looking at a 40-point spread at home with a 65 over-under. How do you see this playing out?
I got the Buckeyes in the under, I guess, with my score. I didn't know what that over-under was, but I got it 52-10 Buckeyes.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah, I think we roll it up. I think we get in some young talent early. And so call it running up the score what you will. You got to get young talent serious reps, and it can't just be run 3 times punt. I want to see when the backups get in there that we're still running a paced offense, a faster paced offense, and throwing passes and being creative, and those guys need to develop too. And I would hope that that's the mindset we go in with, and get a bunch of scores. And I mean 52, maybe 63, but that's it.
All right.
I like us to cover. I don't know about the over.
I agree 100%. As far as covering, I think, like you said earlier, making an example of an academy is not a good look for any school, but somebody will need to be made an example of this year. So UNLV just happens to be the target this week. So, I'm going to call for, I was going to say 56-0. Nick Bosa tonight, by the way, called for a shutout. He says, I think we shut him out, so we'll see. That's his quote.
Oh.
I like that. I like the confidence, and that means that somebody better be in the backfield all night.
58-0? Oh, I like it. We could use a 58-0.
58? Oh, I like that. With a safety? I'll take that. I'm going to go 59-0 and tack on the field goal for
posterity.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it won't make the over, so I'm just thinking about where I'm going to allocate some funds. So we do have 2 Twitter questions I mentioned earlier. One came from Jason 33887 on Twitter. He asked a really interesting question we haven't even discussed. And anyway, his question is, what are your thoughts on the OC and DC coaching from the press box and not on the sideline? And then additional question he had was, Day or Wilson need to be on the field? I think that's the question. So, what do you think? You like Shiano being on the sidelines last weekend?
Well, again, last weekend I don't put a lot of stock into anything that happened last weekend because it was such a unique thing to do with that defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if he needs to be down there. I think you've got other guys down there that can rally the troops, Combs and Johnson, that can be those guys. I think the guy on the field needs to be the guy that grabs by the face mask and says that's fucking it. They're not moving another yard. And
I think that adds something. Yeah.
So I don't know if Shiano does, but why Day or Wilson can't be down there? I wouldn't mind seeing one of them down there.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we talked earlier, how do you say it in what context? Maybe maybe there's a translation from the box down to the field. Let Day or Wilson tell JT what the fuck he's thinking in no uncertain terms. Look at him in the eye.
Exactly. I think that makes a big difference to be down there and see your players face to face.
So yeah, I would say for Shiano, I don't think it's a huge deal necessarily, but I wouldn't mind seeing Day or Wilson down there.
Okay. And let's see. So you think it's different for offense versus defense, is what you're saying?
I do, and I mean, and that's not a steadfast rule that I go by. I mean, I think there's certain coaches do better certain ways,
mm-hmm.
but I think with the personnel that we got right now, I think our offensive guy or our defensive guys, coaches are some rah-rah guys that can put a fire under your ass, like Johnson and Combs,
mm-hmm.
and Shiano doesn't need to be there to do that. He can call X's and O's and see what he's seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But we've went over it. My thoughts on the O-line coach. Do I think that he's got it in him to boost those guys up? I don't know. I feel the right side of the line's underachieved for a few years, so I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. The receivers, I mean, I see some of those routes that they ran a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to grab you by your face mask. I want a guy that does that and sits him on his ass and says, "Hey, you're out, man. That's not how we play here." So yeah. I don't know if our wide receivers coach with space does that either. So
yeah, I haven't seen it.
I think both those guys might be a little bit of players coaches, and mm-hmm. I want somebody to kick them in the ass. And
yeah, I think that's a Shiano kind of guy.
Who's that?
The person you're describing is Shiano. The way he brings the energy, on the sidelines.
Yeah, but nobody on offense is doing that, I don't feel.
No, we don't really have that kind of personality. Ryan Day is definitely not that rah-rah guy, but he's a quarterback coach. Zach Smith, he's more of a rah-rah guy, but less of he's just a receiver coach,
He's a player's coach, man. I don't...
Yeah.
And I think Coach Stud is too. And
yeah.
I don't mind players coaches, but you got to be able to get in their ass too. Don't be afraid that your players are going to get mad at you.
I think Wilson would be good on the sidelines. It's just his point of view would be probably changed, maybe not for the better. He's not seeing an overview of how the defense is reacting to things.
I do see who I think's really tuned in on the sidelines. Speaking of that, is Coach Alford. I feel like every time the running back comes off the play, the running back goes right to Coach Alford. They have a conversation.
Yeah.
Coach Alford knows exactly what's going on with his running backs,
mm-hmm.
and I feel like he's doing a nice job down there.
And Combs with the secondary, he's like on the field. Players don't even get off the field before they see him. Yeah, I agree. So Twitter question number 2 comes from, this is a recurring guest. Jason, by the way, thank you for your Twitter question. Keep them coming.
Great question.
Yeah, don't be a stranger.
Sucked, but great question.
Don't be a stranger, Jason. So question number 2 comes from Harbaugh's Khakis. We know this clown. Very short. short question. His question is, what problems with the offense? So I assume he's referring to Michigan's offense. I don't think he has much interest in Ohio State's offense. So we kind of touched on it earlier. I can give you some quick numbers. Michigan is putting up 202.7 yards per game. And that is against...
What, rushing?
And then rushing is 199.3. So very balanced. Herb would be happy with the balance.
Well, if you throw another 50 on each of those, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that's Herb's goal, right? And that was
250,
250.
250. Exactly. And but look at this defense. They're only allowing 208 yards against Air Force, Cincinnati, and Florida with 10 missing players. So, we have any insight from your cohorts up in the great up north?
It's a lot of the same things that I see with Ohio State's offense. I think part of their line is suspect. I don't think they have any great threats at wide receiver. I think they have an inaccurate quarterback. And to date, they've had some pretty decent production out of that Ty Isaac or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And they got some other guys behind him, but I think they're very similar to Ohio State, except we've got J.K. Dobbins, who I think's a difference maker over anybody they got. And they'll get better. Going into the season, I thought Michigan would be a really good offense and a shitty defense, and it's just the opposite. Maybe. I'm not sold on their defense yet either because they are young and fast and whatnot, but what are you going to do when someone can run the football and sustain drives on you? And when Indiana, is doing hurry up, and you guys are all young and you got some good players, but you don't have the depth, and how are you going to rotate D linemen in and out? They've got questions on both sides of the ball. The defensive side hasn't been exposed yet, but the offensive side certainly has.
How are the fans taking things up there?
Oh, yeah, Michigan fans are delusional with Harbaugh, and they won, and they don't care. They're not critical like me at all with their team. I've heard a couple of them, say, hey, this offense is bad and whatnot, and they think their defense is great. But it's few and far between. It's kind of weird. It's kind of cultish how they drink the Kool-Aid and don't recognize the problems on their team. And, hey, we're great, and Michigan State, you suck. They rarely bring up the Buckeyes anymore because, that's just a fucking argument they can't win.
Right.
But they finally beat Sparty, for the second time in 8 years or whatever, and now they're like, fuck yeah, we're back.
Right.
2 third-place finishes in the Big Ten East. And,
Oh, they beat an SEC school.
Let me just get one little pet peeve off my chest, though.
Sure. Floor's open.
Sparty fan and Michigan fan, they both do it, and they always talk about these 10-win seasons. And Ohio State has, since the turn of the century, Ohio State has, a dozen 10-win seasons, which, big deal. And they're like, oh, only 10-win seasons. It's because back in Bo and Woody's days, that's all you played was 10 games.
Right.
You
take one loss and you don't have a 10-win season.
Yeah, you can go 10-3 now.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. It's like, 10-win season. And Sparty fan loves it. They've got a bunch. Since the schedule's changed and opened up, Michigan doesn't have fucking hardly any. Mm-hmm. And it's funny to see. The Sparty fans, they're smoking a little crack right now. I think they're playing better than I thought they would, but you'll find out who Sparty is this week against Notre Dame.
Yeah, I agree. That's an interesting game. It kind of determines the future of each program, really, and the coaches, I think.
I mean, if Sparty wins that game, Sparty could go 9-3.
They could say they're back.
But they won that game last year. Of their 3 games, they fucking beat Notre Dame.
That's a good point. Yeah, sorry, you're not back. Yeah, that's a good point. But, yeah, I think Penn State, just to kind of take a side turn here, or a little turn off the main road, I think Penn State has the tough game this week against Iowa in Iowa City. I believe it's a night game. That is a trap game for them. I think that's really going to show who they are. They had a tough game against fucking Pitt. So
yeah, but isn't Iowa shit this year? Iowa State should have beat them.
Home games at night are a different animal, somewhat.
In Des Moines?
Yeah, even in Des Moines. No, it's actually Iowa City.
The Cyclones are in Des Moines.
No, Cyclones are in Ames.
There's more than 2 towns in Iowa?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Holy shit.
I know. It's kind of weird how there are no big... Well, Drake is the biggest school in Des Moines. And it's, what, D3? So,
Go Drake.
A lot of useless information in that comment. So anyway, we hope to get Jeff back next week. Maybe he'll have to sign up with a new Skype username again. But you know how to find us. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go find us on your favorite podcast app. Download us. Go back and listen to the old shows. I promise you they're much more entertaining than this one. And
you might fucking learn something, too.
Yeah, there's knowledge in there. You got to dig deep. You might need a shovel.
Keep an open mind.
That's right. Yes. And the extra points are worth listening to, if nothing else, for the movie quotes. So, like I said earlier. But please go find us on your favorite app and wherever you get podcasts and check us out. And also hit the website, thebuckeyecast.com. I promise I always have the most recent game up there in the 30-minute version. It is always streaming on our site. Never gone, always there. Every week. It's the first thing I do Saturday night / Sunday morning. Anyway, you know how to get a hold of us on social media, the Buckeye Cast. And we'll see how this plays out, and we'll get you our extra points out quickly on Sunday or, / Monday.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know how the time frame I'm gonna watch this game, but we'll get them out.
All right.
It's the closing thoughts. This game, it's like nothing positive can come out of this. I expect them to blow them out, and if they don't, I'm like, okay, they should have done that. But if this game gets interesting, I'm gonna be pissed off. RPO, really pissed off.
All right. I'm glad we have a new acronym for RPO because I was hating the other one.
Peace out, Buckeye Nation.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
It's fun time.